So here's an interesting next subject that is, kind of in the same waters. We're still talking about the Jews, but the disclosure that is happening. We talked about that in the first part of the show about how you have Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, even Steven Crowder, even Charlie Kirk had a passing mention of some of the origins of all of these cultural ills at one point a few weeks ago. You have Tucker Carlson talking about Israel, hosting Thomas Massey on his platform, talking about APAC. Okay, so we all know that the noticing is upon us, and it's only a matter of whack a mole. They're going to try to silence and stifle the largest people who are connecting the dots and saying, it's not just that they run censorship, and it's not just that they push pornography, and it's not just that they profiteer off of usury. And it's not just that they push multiculturalism. And it's not just that they push feminism. And it's not just that they push the gay rights movement. Do you start to see it's like every single social ill that America has undergone over the last 60 years, our cultural fabric, our religious fabric, our economic safety, our reputation on the world stage, are all directly tied to Jewish influence. And so we got to get over this whole like, it's not all of them. It's just this little piece over here, and this piece, and this piece, and this piece, and this piece, and this piece. There is such a thing as group behavior. That doesn't mean that every individual within the group adheres to all of those beliefs and behaves the same way. We're having a high IQ conversation here. Jews, can you keep up? When we talk about Jewish influence, Jewish culture, the nation of Israel, so long as you're high IQ, I expect you to understand that we're not referring to every single individual that falls into those categories. I also expect you to be understand that group behavior is a real observable thing. I talked about that in the previous episode, that this is just objectively true. You can look at voting blocks. Every single think tank that exists, every economist that has ever done economic studies looks into group behavior. You can look at it at a gender level. You can look at it at a religious level. You can look at it at an ethnic level. You can look at it at a national level. Groups are real. Whoa, did you know that? And you can find commonality of behaviors across them. We don't need to sit here and say, oh, but, it's not every single person in the group that acts that way. You only have to say that to retarded people. People who obviously want to obfuscate and derail the conversation and highlight the exception and not the standard. So this next subject, when we talk about the disclosure and that it's obviously happening and now it's only a matter of narrative control, are they going to be able to successfully say it's not all, it's not all, it's not all, it's just these, it's just the Frankist, it's just the secular globalist, it's just the Jonathan Greenblatt, and it's just Harvey Weinstein, and it's just Jeffrey Epstein, and it's just Larry Fink, and it's just George Soros, and it's just Miriam Adelson. Are we going to play this whole song and dance forever? They're going to try to, okay, obviously. I don't think they're going to be able to successfully do that. But here's the thing. Here's like the bigger plot twist. Many people believe, if you're well researched in conspiracy theories and all that, you know about Albert Pike and his letters and the idea that there were pre planned three world wars to bring about the New World Order. Here we go. Okay. So call Alex Jones, get him on the phone. And that's all real, by the way. I'm not saying that that's not real. Those letters really were written and they have played out exactly as they were foretold. And we really are heading for a World War III. And that particular war is described as a war that will entangle Christians, Muslims, and Jews. And the outcome of that war, per the letter's description, is supposed to be a new world order where the global elites are to run a global government with a global currency. This just happens to line up very, very well with the Jewish religion's prophecy of how they are expected to inherit the world and be the leaders of the world. And so here's the thing. You have a lot of conspiracy theory educated people who know about the letters, who know that World War III is something that is being orchestrated intentionally, provoking the religions against each other and the nations against each other. And this is an engineered event hoping to land with a certain outcome. And what they say is if you continue to expose the Jews, then that's going to build hostility toward the Jews, which is what they want because that is what is going to set off the powder keg of this global conflict. Here's the problem. What is the alternative? Let the Jews run the country and all of Western society in perpetuity? Let them continue to grow Israel until it takes over the entire Middle East? Let them take over parts of Yemen and Egypt and every other part of the Middle East if they can? Let them murder millions and millions and millions of women and children and non-combatants and journalists and medics, humanitarian aid indiscriminately? Because we don't want to call out the fact that this is the way they're behaving and need to be stopped. I got this one person on Instagram that's always sending me, like, every time I make a story or a post that's like, here's what the Jews are doing. They're trying to make it illegal to criticize them. They're deporting people for criticizing them. She's like, you're playing into the exact outcome that they want. They want anti Semitism to be on the rise so that they can bring all the Jewish people back to the homeland, centralize, and assume power that way, rebuild the third temple, darkness to light, and all this. I'm like, what are you suggesting as an alternative? As I said, not talk about Jewish influence? Say, it's fine. We don't really need Christian leaders. It's probably best that the Jews run our country and accumulate their wealth to infinity, preying on sinful weaknesses of people, gambling, usury, pornography, deception, blackmail. Just let them do it. We don't need to extricate ourselves from Jewish influence because that would be playing right into their hand. So I just wanted to make a small little comment about that because I'm tired of it. Like, I'm tired of being told that this is all just part of the World War III Albert Pike plan. Unless you're coming with a solution, then we all know. Like, we all know about that already. Assuming that you have done the deep dive research, I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. I can't even imagine how many thousands of hours of research has gone into this. Yeah, I'm aware of what they're trying to do. This does remind me of something though that happened in my childhood. This kind of thought that I had, and this was probably spurred by Hollywood. You had these movies like The Da Vinci Code and movies like The Matrix, where they put forth this fantasy tale that says, what if you were able to expose a truth that would change the entire world? What if it's a truth doubling down that even if it's true and you exposed it to the whole world, what if the cost of exposing that to the whole world was immense damage? So in the Da Vinci Code, they're trying to put forth what if we debunked Christianity? What if Jesus wasn't really God? What if he was sleeping with Mary Magdalene? What if it wasn't Immaculate Conception? What if he didn't really perform all the miracles? What if Christianity wasn't true? And this is like a fun thing to float for teenagers, people who still don't really know how the world works. This is Hollywood. This is what they do. They attack the impressionability and the gullibility and the naivety of youth. They sensationalize. They create fantasy worlds. They are conjurers of these mythologies and ideologies that are very seductive, that say, what if, just what if you were able to come upon this truth that nobody else knew and it would change the world forever, but you got to be super responsible doing so because there's a chance that you reveal this, the whole world could crumble. And I remember thinking this as a teenager. I remember actually thinking, because I was agnostic as a teenager, Like, what if there was a way? It hasn't happened in 2,000 years, but what if there was a way to debunk Christianity, to prove that Jesus was just a guy, just a good guy? He was a really nice guy and he had some good teachings about life, and that's it, nothing else. If there was some way to prove that, what would the implications be? It would obviously be destabilizing to the world, highly so. Now, it hasn't happened in thousands of years, and I don't expect that it's ever going to happen. In fact, I think far more evidence has been accumulated to prove that he is exactly who he said he was. And this isn't an episode devoting to going through the historical veracity of the Bible, secular and theological historians' explanations. I'm not going to do all that here today. I'm also not like a formal Christian apologist either. That's not my field of specialty. But the same is currently true to the Jewish problem, what I was just explaining before, where the way the world currently works is with this blindfolded belief that the reason Jews are so powerful is because they're hardworking and intelligent. And the fact that they are powerful, we really shouldn't worry about it because, hey, they share the same God as us. And they're basically just like Christians. They just, have a disagreement about who Jesus Christ is. And that disagreement, by the way, they don't know this, but that disagreement, by the way, when you go and research it, it actually says that they believe Jesus Christ is burning in hell in a pot of semen and excrement. It's small detail, but it's just a disagreement. He's God, he's sovereign, he's the authority, he's the arbiter of all morality, he's capable of literally anything. He was there when everything was created. He is who you will be joining when you die, assuming you believe in him. Or he's burning in hell in a pot of semen and excrement, and he was a liar, and he was a blasphemer, and he was a necromancer and a sorcerer. Hey, we're not even done. His mom was also a whore. It's hard to do a live stream without going through the Talmud's greatest hits, right? So, small disagreements about those kind of things, but that's the situation America finds itself in, and all of Western civilization, which has global implications. So, I mean, it truly is a global question. What does it mean to reveal that Jews have captured the most powerful countries in the world and they're using it for their own interests? What does that mean? What will the repercussions be? What will the ripple effect be? I don't know. Maybe we should look at Spain. I think, when did the Spanish Golden Age start? Happened to be the exact same year they kicked the Jews out. Maybe that's a little bit of a foreshadowing prophecy there. What happened to most of the countries, and by most of, I mean the 109, 110 different countries who evicted the Jews? Did they prosper afterward? Most of them did, yeah. Now, Germany, being the most recent case, hasn't done so well, but that's because the aftermath is still under Jewish control. Like they're still paying reparations for the Holocaust today. It's still illegal to question the Holocaust today in Germany. So they never actually extricated themselves from the Jews. They're still very much under their control. So even though they technically, tried to kick them out unsuccessfully, but they did come to the conclusion, like 108, 109 other countries before them, that Jewish influence, it turns out, isn't the best thing for at least non Jews. I'm sure Jews think it's great, but the other 99% of the world seems to not agree. So I think this is probably a good place to wrap it up for tonight. Did I need to close that topic? What were we even talking about? Oh, yeah, we'll wrap it up with this subject. What does it mean? This is a good place to leave it on because it's kind of a cliffhanger. Are we just playing right into their hands by exposing Jewish influence and igniting World War III and fulfilling the Albert Pike letters and helping them build the third temple and bringing about the Antichrist? So we all got to stop talking about it. We can't expose the Jews because then they're going to go build the temple and bring about the Antichrist. That clearly doesn't make sense, guys. Do you think Jesus would say, yeah, it's probably more intelligent to let evil run your societies, run amok, destroy civilization, pull people away from God because they're scheming. How about this? How about you just become aware of their schemes, pray, evangelize, and trust God that we win? Become educated, become articulate, become successful in your trade, and contribute to the fight that we are in. How about you do that rather than shutting up and not ever talking about the Jews because you're worried that that's playing into their hand? Why don't you let me and people like me lead this movement and keep your, I'm going to say it, okay, I'm going to say it. This individual is a woman, okay? This is, I mean, I've been talking a lot about the woman problem lately. You just can't trust them to lead. Like they don't have the discernment. They really don't. You can't trust them to be spiritual leaders. This is why they're forbidden to be leaders in the church, explicitly so in the Bible. You can't trust them to run a nation. You can't trust them to run a household. We love them. They have a purpose. They're great nurturers and healers, and they obviously provide us with children. They can be a blessing, but they cannot be leaders. And I think I already rested my case on why. Because when you ask them who are privy to all of the facts, who know about Jewish influence, somehow in some warped interpretation, they come to the opinion that, well, it's probably best that we don't talk about it. So I think that's a good place to put a pin in it for tonight. This felt like a long stream. I haven't even checked how long I've been streaming. Oh my goodness, you guys. This is the second time. I go and check OBS now to see how long the stream has been. It's been an hour and 15 minutes recording, but apparently I got kicked off of streaming at some point, the live portion of the show. So that's frustrating. That happened last time, but the fact that I recorded this whole thing, you ain't stopping me. You're not stopping this information. We're getting it out there. We cannot be stopped. We're too intelligent. We are too ethnically, religiously intelligent to be outsmarted by your games of interrupting our live streams, censoring us. And I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know why. But this is the second time this week where halfway through my live stream, the stream just drops. I got a great internet connection. It's still recording. There's still space. The computer's still running fine. It's not overheating, but the live stream just gets nuked. It is what it is. And this is on top of the fact that I am banned from live streaming on Instagram. Like I can't even pull it up. I pull it up and it says this feature is not available to you. And then I go and check in my profile. When I got that, it's like 110, 120 days ago that they banned me. It's of a 365-day ban. So I am banned from streaming on the platform where I have 25,000 followers. I get over that. I say, you know what? I'll still put the suit on. I'll still write an agenda. I'll do my research. I'll try to get this information out live to you guys on Rumble. Stream gets shut down 30 minutes into it. The last two times that I've tried to stream. It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. So thanks for watching. I thoroughly enjoyed this session. I think you guys probably did too. This was a very fun one. I really enjoyed it. I'd been waiting to talk about the Jewish IQ stuff for about a week. It's all a fucking hoax. These people are not any smarter than us. The only reason they accumulate the wealth and influence they do is because they have concentrated themselves in industries that are sinful, and then they leverage deceit to cover their nepotism and their sinful, ill gotten gains up. That's the summary in two sentences. So until next time, I love you guys. Stay close to each other. Christ is King.
Beholden to Truth. Christ